morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for us to be here, both House and Senate Democrats and a lot of our friends and allies, to talk about marriage equality. Unfortunately, we have to talk about it again. We were here almost 2 years ago having this same conversation after we had introduced bills, both in the House and Senate, demanding marriage equality here in the state of Michigan. We had a little bit of progress. As you know, this Sunday we're going to be celebrating a one-year anniversary where we had over 300 couples have the opportunity to celebrate their love and their marriages. We, unfortunately, a few days later, were stopped by the governor and the attorney general from continuing to allow marriages to continue in the state. And we had a process where we actually had to continue to fight to get those 300-plus families recognized. I want to introduce a good friend of mine, Senator Curtis Hertel, who will introduce a very dynamic family who has been on the forefront of making sure that all the families who were married a year ago this Sunday have the rights and benefits that all married people have in the state of Michigan. And so let me turn it over to Senator Curtis Hertel.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. 1 year ago, Glenna, DeJong, and Marsha Caspar were married. So first, if we could just all wish them a happy anniversary, right? They were married early on a Saturday morning at the courthouse in Ingham County. Glenna and Marsha were one of 300-plus couples married that day in the short window of time when a federal judge had ruled Michigan marriage ban unconstitutional and that stay had not been issued yet. Put simply, it saddens me that this loving couple of 27 years had to rush to the courthouse and get married quickly because there was only a short window of where that was going to be okay. Even more disturbing is that for nearly a year, our governor refused to recognize these lawful marriages and then only did so after Glenna and Marsha sued to have their marriage recognized. We can no longer tolerate this type of discrimination against our friends and neighbors. It's time for our state laws to evolve and for our elected leaders to accept that everyone deserves the same protections and same rights. So it is my great pleasure and to introduce two heroes of mine, and God bless for everything you did in this fight. Glenna DeJong and Marsha Caspar. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us again, and I'm very humbled. I think Glenna probably is too. Exactly 1 year ago this weekend, Glenna and I became the first same-sex couple to marry in Michigan. We're now members of a small, exclusive club of same-sex couples who were able to marry during a brief one-day window when it was legal in Michigan. And we don't want to be. We want to be members of an inclusive club that welcomes any same-sex couple who wishes to marry. The fact is that for every same-sex couple that was able to marry on March 22nd of last year in Michigan, there are an estimated 45 couples who were not afforded the same joy. That leaves thousands of gays and lesbians in Michigan still waiting to marry the ones they love. Quite frankly, we didn't need marriage to make a lifetime commitment or to have the love and acceptance of our families. After all, we've been together now 28 years. We've been by each other in sickness and in health, when times were good and when times were tough. But we know now that we needed marriage more than we expected. We didn't realize the joy we would feel of having the opportunity for friends, family, and even strangers to celebrate and honor our public vow. In addition to the dignity and respect that was long overdue, we are now able to enjoy the rights and securities that marriage affords. For us and 322 other couples, these include joint adoption rights, pensions and survivor benefits, sponsored spousal health insurance, estate and gift tax protections, bereavement and sick leave, guaranteed visitation rights if one spouse is hospitalized, and more than 1,000 other federal and state level benefits we were previously denied. Unfortunately, it still took over 10 months and a lawsuit to force the state to recognize our marriage and to fully gain these rights. But these rights and securities are still denied other same-sex couples in Michigan who either don't have the option to marry should they choose, or were married out of state, but with no legal recognition of those marriages here. Very simply, that's why we're here again today. Glenna and I will continue to advocate and fight until the day that all couples are treated equally. And with that, I am very pleased and honored to introduce my lawfully wedded wife, Glenna.
As you can see, my wife is great. On a day I'll never forget in 2004, I woke to the news that Michigan voters had passed a constitutional amendment to secure and preserve the benefits of marriage for our society and for future generations of children by specifically denying me the right to marry the one I love. It was hurtful, and I was embarrassed. Marsha told me she felt like a monster with 3 heads, and then we cried. Why are we so different and not deserving of basic respect? Why were we specifically being denied the rights and securities that other loving couples are afforded? Maybe there was something wrong with us. That's what we're being told. Of course, we had always been denied the right to marry. The amendment wasn't really needed because since 1846, Michigan law codified discrimination against us. Marriage between individuals of the same sex was already invalid in our state. In 2012, 2 extraordinary women, April DeBoer and Jane Rouse, took action and challenged this ban on same-sex marriage in Michigan. Together, they took in 3 special needs newborns who were either abandoned or surrendered at birth. April and Jane wished to adopt these children together, but were prevented from doing so because Michigan's adoption code prohibits unmarried couples from adopting children jointly. This left their children vulnerable and with no legal protections should something happen to one of them. So they sued the state of Michigan and won. That's why we were able to marry for that brief window. However, the state appealed and their victory was overturned at the Sixth Circuit Court. They and all same-sex couples wanting to jointly adopt and give safe and loving homes to orphan children are being treated like monsters with 3 heads, when in fact, they are angels with 3 hearts. April and Jane are now going to the Supreme Court where their legal team will address the question, does the 14th Amendment require a state to license a marriage between 2 people of the same sex? We have every faith that they will prevail. Michigan will not be able to enforce the laws and constitutional amendment creating marriage discrimination. But let's do the right thing. Let's remove these hateful laws from the books. Let's join the other states where marriage equality is the norm and who show gays and lesbians they are valued and welcomed in their states. In 2004, we were complacent. We didn't fight, but no longer. Please join us in championing equality for all, whether it be by supporting April and Jane as they go to the Supreme Court or here in the halls of this building to change outdated laws.
Thank you very much, Glenna and Marsha. We appreciate your advocacy, and we look forward on Sunday to celebrating your anniversary. We have 2 leads, both in the House and the Senate, but obviously, as you can see, we have a lot of partners in the legislative process to overturn these laws and rules and constitutional amendments. On the Senate side, we're pleased that Rebekah Warren is continuing to take her advocacy role. Fortunately, she wasn't able to be here today. But on the House side, we're very pleased and honored to have Jeremy Moss, our state representative from Southfield, taking the lead. He's going to start off by kind of talking about the different bills and ideas that we have that we need to change within our laws as well as our Constitution and why we're introducing them at this point in time. So I'm pleased to turn it over to Representative Moss.
Thank you, Floor Leader Singh, for that introduction. This is a great day here in Michigan. And I've been an official witness on a marriage certificate for two couples in the past. The first marriage was that of my sister, who married her husband 5 years ago. And my sister and I were raised in an observant Jewish household, but she chose not to have a religious ceremony surrounding her wedding. She was actually married in New York City Hall at the city clerk's office. The second marriage that I served as a witness to occurred almost 1 year ago when two of my friends became husbands when marriage rights were extended to same-sex couples for 1 day. Their marriage ceremony also was presided over by a government official and not clergy. It's a personal decision for a couple to formalize their sacred bond of matrimony in the eyes of their God or their religion. But that's not a requirement to fulfill what marriage is. A contract recognized by the state between two loving people who wish to share their lives with one another and gain all the rights that come with it. A religious text shouldn't be used to restrict that definition of marriage. And there's no difference between the loving bond that my sister and her husband have and that my two friends have, and I know because I'm the official witness, so I think I have a right to verifiably say that. In fact, both marriages now are recognized by the state of Michigan. But other same-sex couples who were married on that 1 day last year are being denied the rights afforded to heterosexual married couples. Marriage is more than a public declaration of love, though it is that as well. Marriage also brings with it the rights and responsibilities that are crucial to a family's stability. Marital status affects everything from a couple's ability to purchase car insurance together, to their ability to visit one another should one be in an intensive care unit of a hospital. Marriage formalizes the recognition of both spouses as parents and ensures that both parents have a legal standing to care for their children. For all of these reasons and many more, millions of people across our state, gay and straight alike, want marriage equality in Michigan. And as you know, a little more than 10 years ago, Michigan voters enacted a constitutional ban on same-sex marriage. A lot can change in 10 years as more Michigan residents have bravely come forward to their friends and families and coworkers and let them know that they are gay, as I have. And as such, many Michiganders have had a change of heart on this issue of marriage equality because they have loved ones whose lives are negatively impacted by this constitutional ban. It is time to get rid of our ban on same-sex marriage. I am proud to be here today to announce a package of legislation we are introducing that will bring marriage equality to Michigan. I am sponsoring a House bill that will call for a voter referendum to overturn Michigan's ban on same-sex marriage. The legislative package would also recognize same-sex marriages performed in Michigan or other states, allow same-sex couples to file joint state tax returns, and allow same-sex couples to seal marriages on request so that their marriage status won't be used against them by their employers or landlords or others. I believe that this right to marry is fundamental to the dignity and to the respect that all Michigan residents deserve.